No matter which way you look at it, buying a home is a major investment. But for many home buyers, it can be more expensive than it really needs to be. This can be because they fall prey to the many costly and common mistakes that they fall prey to include paying too much for the house that they want, losing their dream home to another buyer, or even worse, buying the wrong home for their needs. Hey, my name is Dan Inman, your local guide and realtor for the Coastal Virginia area, and you're watching the Living in Coastal Virginia channel. Following a systemized approach to the home buying process can help you avoid all of these common traps and make sure that you get the home that fits your needs. Today we're going to cover the top 9 most common and costly mistakes that home buyers make and how to avoid them. Your agent should be offering a buyer profile system or a house hunting service that has a systematic approach to finding you the right place. This program or system will cross-match all of your criteria to all of the available homes to include bank foreclosures, homes that are owned by corporate sales. This program will cross-match all of your criteria with all available homes on the market and will supply you with a daily email with up-to-minute listings on an ongoing basis. A program like this can help you affordably move into the home of your dreams. So the 9 buyer traps are: number 1, buying and bidding blind. Going out there and bidding on properties without understanding the market or what's going on in the market, is specifically a comparative analysis of what homes are selling for in that specific area, is super unwise. Without the local market knowledge or what the houses are going for in the area, you could end up overbidding for a property. And in this particular scenario, if you overbid and be in a situation where maybe the contract value isn't supportable by an appraisal, you could end up in a really sticky situation with the seller that could cause the deal to fall through. Number 2 would just be buying the wrong home. What are you looking for a home? It seems like a simple question, but actually is a little bit more complex when you start digging. You wouldn't be the only buyer on the planet that gets swept up in emotion by 1 or 2 things. It is super common for buyers to walk in and see a certain type of kitchen or bathroom and maybe overlook some things that you should be paying attention to, but you get caught up looking at the really pretty things and ignoring maybe the fact that you absolutely must have a big enough yard for those 3 large dogs. Maybe you overlook those things and you overlook the fact that you'll be having home projects for the next few months, fixing up things on the home, or the commute ends up being way longer than you expected. Take the time up front to clearly define your needs with your agent so that when you actually go out and look at homes, they can make sure to properly guide you so that you don't buy the wrong home up front. Turning around and having to sell that property and go out and look again is very costly. The most expensive part of real estate is not actually the purchasing, but the selling. Because sellers have historically paid the commissions, when you turn around and sell, you haven't had enough time in a short period of time to pay down that mortgage fast enough so that it actually becomes a financial benefit rather than something that drags you down. Next is an unclear title. Now you want to make sure that the title search is actually done early in the process. Depending on the closing institution that you go with, some of them do it later, some of them do earlier. You want earlier the better. You don't want to find out on the back stretch of this purchase when you've already ordered the moving truck, packed up, and planned all of these things for a specific move date, to find out that there are encumbrances or liens on the title. You want to find out that as early in the process as possible. Many of times these things can be fixed or cleared up before closing, but the earlier you find out in the process, the better. I can speak from personal experience here. We had a contract out on a property where the home was actually owned by the mom and dad that had passed away, unfortunately, but the probate process hadn't been started early enough, and we would have found this out if the title company had done a good enough job of pulling that title or understanding all of the people that had the right to have to sign off on that property earlier in the process rather than later in the process. Number 4 on this list is going to be getting a survey or making sure that survey is part of the process. Now this isn't always necessary, but most of the time it can be very beneficial. Your time to, challenge the guy next door who has the shed that looks like it could be on your property, or someone's garden. That's not uncommon when someone has a garden that's encroaching on your property line. The only way that you can challenge this is by having a recent survey that's been done. Number 5 is going to be undisclosed fix-ups. Now, this could be a variety of things, whether the work was done by a professional or even done by the homeowner themselves. Not every seller is going to be completely forthright and give you every single detail that's been done on the property for the time that they've owned it. Both you and the seller are out there to maximize whatever deal that you're about to enter into. And so you want to make sure that you conduct a proper inspection of the property. You know, the home inspection is part of that deal, and what the home inspector is going to go through and kind of point out things that either look like normal and things that kind of fall outside of the normal realm. But one of the other things to potentially pay attention to is what is on the tax record and what is on the listing. It's not uncommon for some people to maybe convert a garage, and so if that work was done by the homeowner and there was plumbing or electrical that was included, the appraiser might not actually count it if it wasn't done and permitted properly. This has happened before for a buyer of mine where we ended up finding out that the work was not permitted and the appraiser would not count the 4th bedroom. It could only be counted as a 3-bedroom. Because of that, we were only allowed to use 3-bedroom appraisals, and the appraisal came back $7,000 lower than what we expected. Now, we were able to work it out with the home seller and move forward, but if the seller was unwilling to back off that contract value, that deal may have fallen through and would have been a true heartache for that buyer. Number 6 for the buyer traps here is just not getting the pre-approval done as early as possible. This is something that many people don't want to do because they're afraid of being told no, or they're not going to get the amount that they want to. But what I'm telling you here, especially in today's market when there are multiple offers out there, sellers are paying attention to this, and you don't want to miss out on the home of your dreams because you had the exact same offer as somebody else, but somebody was fully underwritten and you only had the pre-approval. You want to go under the pre-approval process and as much underwriting as possible, get all the supporting documents in so that you're as secure of a buyer that you could possibly be and be the most competitive when out there bidding on properties. It'll feel really good when you're out there searching for the home of your dreams and you make that offer to know that your financing is secure and solid and there are no hiccups that could possibly come up because of financing. Number 7 here has to do with the home inspection and repairs. Now, what I have seen and what I've consistently found to be true is the more complex the inspection or the more issues that are found in trying to be negotiated on, it is usually better for you to negotiate a fixed amount of money off of the contract or seller's concessions to be added to the seller's concessions rather than getting the long list of repair items. It's very common in today's market where the labor and supply system is very constricted, and if you're trying to get a whole bunch of stuff done in a 2 or 3 or 4 week period, it may not all be done well or even get complete. And so you get to that last week when you go do the walkthrough and you're checking to see if the work has actually been done, and some of it may not been done. It is much easier to negotiate money off of the purchase price or added seller's concessions than it is to re-inspect work. Not to mention that what the seller does and what the buyer wants to be done sometimes are misaligned. Happens more often than you might think. One way to potentially avoid this is to have the inspector that came out to the property the first time come back out and re-inspect the work to make sure that it's up to snuff. You just don't want to show up at walkthrough and the work either not been done or done properly. And what I found is the easiest way to avoid this trap is to actually just negotiate money off of the contract or added seller's concessions. Number 8 is hidden cost or all the cost. You want to make sure, and this kind of goes with doing the pre-approval early, all of the cost, all the potential costs that go into the home buying process as early in the process as possible. Having a good consultation with a good mortgage lender will be able to set you up for success here. My wife works with Success Mortgage Partners and runs the YouTube channel Your Smart Mortgage Guide. That link will be in the description below, and there's more information about the mortgage process and lending there. But if you do this properly, you're going to go into the home buying process with a full and complete understanding of all the costs that go into this. Much like buying a car or getting into a hobby, you find out that the hobby or the thing is more expensive than you originally anticipated. You have appraisals, you have underwriting fees, you have all the things that come along. If you're buying a condo, if you're buying a house in a flood zone, these are all added costs that go into the home buying process that you may not have properly anticipated for. So having a full and complete idea of what this could look like before you go out and look at homes will just set you up for success and give you the confidence needed to go out there and bid with success. Number 9 is a tricky one, and this is kind of rushing to closing. There are potential arguments to try to close really quickly, but most of the time what I have found is a 30 to 45 day close actually sets you up for success. There are things that you would blaze past or neglect or just say, forget it, let's just go ahead and move forward if the closing process is truncated, if it's really, really quick. If you have a longer closing period, you have the time to shop for the proper insurance, you have the ability to maybe not glance past things on the inspection that you would if you're in a very quick closing timeline. You'll have the ability to speak with your lender about all of the different lending scenarios, more down, less down, should I buy points, should I not buy points, but it's gonna be difficult to fully analyze this and make sure that you're set up for success if you're on a very truncated closing time. Now, an argument for the opposite direction, sometimes it makes sense to close very, very quickly. Let's say that you're making an offer on a property where there are 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or even maybe 10 other offers, and that property is vacant. Well, typically when a property is vacant, sellers want to sell quickly. They want to be done, they want to be out of this property, they want to get paid and be over with as fast as humanly possible. Again, if you start this pre-approval process early in the process as possible, a good lender who has very good systems, processes, and people might actually be able to close within a 2 or 3 week period of time, which makes you very competitive. Being able to tell the seller, hey, you will be closed and have money in your hand in 2 to 3 weeks versus 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8 weeks could be enough incentive for them to take your offer over someone else's. Hey, I hope you found all of this information very, very helpful. These are 9 traps that we find that buyers fall into very, very commonly. And we want to make sure that you feel prepared and confident as you go out there and bid on properties. If we can help serve any of your real estate needs or mortgage needs, all of our contact information is down below. We'd love to help serve you and your family. And YouTube thinks that you would like this video next, right here. This one. Click. It's right here. Do that one. Do it. I don't know. Why are you still watching? Hey, click the video. You're still here.